Hello, today I'm going to show you what to do with that blackboard paper that you may have ordered. So stay tuned, and also embossing tips with this butterfly. My name is Chris from mystamplady.com, and I hope you enjoy this video. So to start off with, if you purchased from the spring catalog the blackboard paper, it has like a coated side and then a matte side, so you can use it like regular cardstock or the blackboard look. If you didn't get this during our spring catalog, just a hint, it's still available on the clearance rack right now for an incredible price. So shop with mystamplady.com, clearance rack, you'll find it there. Okay, so to start with, a critical part with embossing on this paper is the embossing buddy. I am using that to spread some of this powder. If you don't have an embossing buddy, cornstarch or baby powder in a little sock will work really well too, but you've got to get something to keep that powder from sticking where you don't want it. Second big tip, a well-inked Versamark pad. I just added ink to this right before we started so that I know it's well inked. I'm using the lovely watercolor wings set. It's got layers that stack. I am going to use this layer and this one, just two of them, but there is a third one. You can see that in some of the other videos that I've done. I've been on a roll with this. So let's ink up that Versamark. Or I'm sorry, with the Versamark, let's ink up that butterfly, and I'm going to stamp that, give it some nice good pressure. Okay, can't see it quite well, but there is my Versamark on there, and the first color I used was the Cherry Cobbler embossing powder. You want to use an opaque colored embossing powder for at least your first layer. Don't these coffee filters work great for keeping, for catching all that powder? Now you want to make sure it's off before you heat set, because if you heat set and it's still on there, then it's going to heat right onto your paper. So warm up your heat tool, get it good and hot, and melt. Okay, I've let that paper and the embossing powder cool down, so I'm going to go over it again with the embossing buddy so that I make sure that my powder doesn't stick where I don't want it to. Now we've got the details. Let's ink that up with the Versamark really well. There we go. And because it's photopolymer, I can see where I'm lining it up and hit the top of that. Oh, I got a little bit off, but it's okay. Okay, so now let's pull that coffee filter back in, put my white over that. Now, remember what I said about that if you don't get it, or if you get it where you don't want it, it's going to heat set there. I'd add a little more on my bottom there. So if you've got some on there, I found this a little more with my white than I did with the Cherry Cobbler. Take a paintbrush, just wipe that off of there. Okay, it's heat set. Okay, I let that cool again. Let's go over it again with the embossing buddy. Now I need to add a body and my sentiment. So let's ink up that body there. Ink up the little antenna. And then I'm going to also ink up the Just For You that I want to place right under the butterfly. And sprinkle with powder. Now you can do as much of this as you want with one, and it's probably in one sitting. I like to get some of the stuff out of the way just so that I don't like wreck the entire project by messing up one little part or something, like if I try to do too much at once. That's up to you. Okay, and heat set. Not so critical about the cooling right now because I'm going to be along the bottom here with the little dots. So let's just put those along the bottom of my chalkboard paper. I love that these dots are like not perfectly lined, because then if I get them off a little bit when I'm joining it together, it won't matter. Not nice of them. Okay, you know what's a great cleanup for embossing powder are these little things that you can get in the cleaning area, these little dusters. They're awesome for cleaning up powder. Okay, so this is cooled. Yes, look at that, it's nice and cool. I'm going to take a little bit of the craft ink and kind of dab it over just to get a little more of that chalkboard look, just around my butterfly, and then I'm taking a piece of toweling, wiping the ink off of the embossing, and kind of giving it like it's been erased look rather than just dabbed on there. There's a little change that I did with the sample card. I'm going to take, and I'm using the Fast Fuse because this is a nice strong adhesive, but you do want to make sure you do that little check mark. And because there's a tiny bit of curl to it, I am putting adhesive all the way around. I am layering that onto a piece of Whisper White. Okay, I put dimensionals on the back side here, so it'll give it a little bit of lift. And this time I am putting it onto the Calypso Coral cardstock. So, what do you think? Tell me in the comments below. I have this one where I did the Calypso Coral border on a white card base, and this one with a white border on a Calypso Coral card base. So, tell me which one you like better in the comments below. You can find the supplies to make this card in my online store at shopwithmystamplady.com. And if you have any questions about what I've done, don't hesitate to contact me, Chris, at mystamplady.com. Thanks for watching.